Legitimately almost cost us a podium place. So what I want to do is give you a little insight into how this all unfolded. I shouldn't have a smile on my face. So welcome to Grafton to Inverell, a 230k one-day bike race here in Australia. This is potentially the only footage of this race you will see, but that's maybe a rant for the end of today's vlog. We're in the convoy as I'm in the car, and hang on, we'll just have a quick check-in with Dylan.
Do you want to take some?
Nah, I think everyone's fed now.
Alright, you all got something?
I've got all that crash hard, I'm just like blowing snot.
Mate, you never know.
So Dill's not feeling that good. It's good that he's come and told us that. But guys, today I'm just going to put us in the convoy because, okay, this is my second or third time doing this. And guys, it is a total shit show back here. A complete and utter shit show. So I want to show you this. I want to show you the mistakes that I'm making. And maybe a different look into a bike race you might not have seen. So this is a bottle for Ben. I'm about to get some info over the radio.
Cooper needs a bike change.
Shit, alright.
So Cooper has just come over the radio and said that he needs a bike change. We don't know anything more than that.
Alright. Alright. So get him to pull in.
So the first thing is you have to, any mechanical, you have to pull in on the left, on the left-hand side of the road.
Alright, Cooper will have to do a change.
Pull to the left.
So that's Dylan just saying pull to the left, which he will do. And you're probably just noticing that it is just me in the car. That is the case, and we have Jesse in the feed zones. That's Dylan just saying that there's, because Ben's very special, you see, Ben gets very special bottles. So that's over the radio, just a 36 has a mechanical, so that's, you'll just see Cooper now on the side of the road. Now, I've got to be careful getting out. Normally you'd have a mechanic getting out, but it is of course me getting out in this particular situation. So I'm going to jump out and grab the spare bike straight off the roof. Now, as for what the mechanical is, neither of us really knew at this point. It's just his gears stopped working, and instead of stuffing about trying to fix it,
I have a bottle for Ben and 1 other, if anyone needs.
we thought we'd just jump on the spare bike. Now, there was only one spare bike, which was kind of the small-ish size, which is going to cover Cooper, Miles, and Dylan, which gives me a good opportunity actually to say. So the team was Cooper, Miles, Dylan, Aiden, Sam, Ben, and Lee Phillips. So the full 7, just me in the car and Jesse in the feed zone. So Cooper's just told me that he needs to put that saddle down a bit, it does seem. So at this point, we're not that panicked, because the way this plays out is that as long as...
2 riders at the front, rider 62 and 211, 62 and 211, they've got a 33-second lead on the peloton.
So that's the commissaire coming over, which tends to give you sort of race updates to all the convoy positions. And now the reason we're not that super panicked is we're probably about 20 k's from the main climb of the day.
33-year-old V for 33-year-old.
The other thing is we're aware that you can motor pace from 2 k's back to the convoy.
At the moment, might need someone else to feed their servicing rider.
So that's the guy behind me there, one of the commissaires who stayed with me to make sure I do everything perfectly correctly. And he said that that person won't be able to be fed because I'm back here doing this. So you've got 2 k's to motor pace back on. And this is what I want to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are about to motor pace Cooper back to the race. So let's show you how this plays out. And guys, the reason I want to show you this is so much of this stuff that just happens behind the scenes in racing, no one talks about. Not only does no one talk about it, no one shows it, I can tell you that much. So yeah, I'm going to show you motor pacing Cooper back to the convoy. Now, we are motor pacing him back from a mechanical. Okay, so he's not dropped or anything like that. So there are some rules around this. You can basically, you've got a 2-kilometre window, I understand, from actually picking up the rider to getting them back to the convoy. There is another rule, which I will explain very soon, which is the one I broke. But what about motor pacing itself? Well, really the benefit of motor pacing is when it's flat, or really when it's downhill. So you can see this is dragging up a bit here. I've actually laid right back off the accelerator. In fact, I've probably gone too hard, because you can see Cooper there. He's like probably having to put a big squeeze in to just hold the back of the cart. So the commissaire is going to go in front now because we're well within the 2 kilometres. It's not going to be an issue getting him back. There's not going to be any issues around that. So we're about to crest this little rise, and this is where you get the big benefit of a motor pace. Watch this, right? So he's I don't even think he's pedaling now, and hopefully this 360 camera shows you just how fast we can push down this hill. He's just sitting on, he's probably doing like 100 watts, and we're on like a false flat downhill, and you're almost going to see the back. There it is, the back of the convoy. See that? Up top left, you can see the back of the convoy already, and we've only been motor pacing for like less than a minute. And what I want to do is show you, we're actually going to pause this moment right here. Technically, where I should have dropped him off. But you can tell from the amount of pace that we had coming down that hill, that's just not, if I'd swung in there, I would have crashed into the back of the ambulance. So I did keep rolling through up this little climb here. Now, to be fair to Cooper, you can see him there swinging past me, as in to say, okay, I'll swing through at this point. I stay in the right lane. Now, this is not the right thing to have done. I should have swung in here and basically let Cooper started to do the froggers. You know, you've probably seen the guys do that sort of thing where they sort of frog from team car to team car because they're back in the convoy. Essentially, they are safe. At this point, I should probably tell you that we're convoy position number 2. So my thinking, my brain has me thinking, right, well, we're just going to go back to our convoy position because that's what I'm meant to do, and then he rides in from there. That's not the rules, Chris. You have to... Am I going to pull this out and say something? So I've let Cooper go through there. That is... There's Canberra guys, and I think they were convoy guys. You can correct me down below, but I reckon you were probably convoy 4 or 5 or 6. So I've kind of gone like halfway into the convoy, which is against the rules. Like we are going to, and I didn't realize at the time, but we're going to cop a fine. We could potentially cop a time penalty. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is to show this, right? But also to show you all this other stuff that's happening, because I think there's a real rationale, a real reason to maybe strip a lot of this back. Because remember, this is amateur bike racing, and it's kind of pretending to be pro bike.
Does anyone have an empty bottle they need taken back to the car?
Now that's a message you wouldn't have heard a few years ago, because obviously we don't throw anything.
That's to Nero. Does anyone have an empty bottle they need taken to the car?
So he's going to bring the empty rubbish and empty bottles back to me in the car so nothing gets thrown. But again, look at all this stuff that's happening. So much stuff happening. And I think maybe we'll talk about this at the end of today's vlog.
To do bikes.
34 Nero, 34 Nero.
Oh, it looks like we're back. So what when you get called, your team gets called, you leave your convoy position and you drive up to the commissaire where you do the feed with the guys in the team. So the way that works, again, is very... There's a system to it, but it is a bit of an organised chaos thing because you drive up to the position behind the commissaire. So that's the first team car that you can see.
We are issuing a time penalty here for the Nero rider. You cannot tell your riders in the right-hand lane. You've got to put them off the back of the convoy and then return.
So that is us receiving the time penalty for me going too far into the convoy with Cooper. As I said, I broke the rules in that particular circumstance. That is a completely warranted fine and one that I have to cop. I think it's going to be about $200 or something like that, plus the minute, which, like I said, could have cost us the race. Legitimately could have cost us the race. I mean, imagine if Sam goes solo, wins by 55 seconds, and turns around and goes, well, actually, there's a minute fine because some douchebag in the convoy drove too far, you know? Now, just coming back to how this plays out, is I drive up to the front position, so the commissaire stays in front of me. So he has to drop, Dylan kind of drops probably 40 metres behind the peloton, and he's just dumping empty, so I'm no point giving him anything. What's he telling us here?
Yeah, look, just obviously tell the boys...
Shut up, Chris. Actually, this is a good opportunity to talk about this. So,
none of us have stem notes. Could you give us like maybe 10 Ks to the base?
Yep.
Whatever.
All right, I'm being shouted at to move here, so I'll leave you to it.
So we are very much a rider-led team. So that was Dylan asking, can you give us sort of, updates on where the positions in the route are, where the positions in the race are? Because that's the sort of information that I'll offer from the car. I won't offer like tactical stuff. we are a rider-led team. We want the guys in the team to make those decisions on the road. They will have radios so they can communicate amongst them. And we kind of think that's not only, well, look, it has its downfalls very much, but we feel there's more growth in that, and it's a nice point of difference for us because guys take on more responsibility, more ownership over the race and the race performance. And what about the race? Well, it was an epic day. It was one of these races where there was no breakaway. It was just constant selections from the strongest guys in the bunch. And Sam Hill made that selection for us. And at one point there, with 30 Ks to go, he went solo from the final selection. He certainly got me very excited in the car when he did. But unfortunately, Mark O'Brien and the eventual winner, Drew Morey, came across to him on really the last KOM and managed to distance him on the final climb. But Sam still managed third place, which was just an incredible ride. And it really was. Like, it really was an incredible ride that, again, no one saw. Like, hands up in the comments. Hands up in the comments if you knew about Sam's ride. Actually, hands up in the comments if you knew about this race, that it even happened. It's just invisible. And look, it's really easy for me to sit here and just rag on the governing body again and whinge about lack of promotion or lack of investment. There is no point. And as I was sitting there in the convoy, and I'm thinking to myself, what are we doing? Like, why are we pretending that this is a professional race series when it is so far from that, it's not even funny? The racing, the quality of the racing is, but the financing is not. So look, okay, this is a solutions vlog. This is not a rant vlog. I've been thinking about solutions and I want your thoughts on this as well. So I've got two ideas, okay? I have two ideas on what we do here. The first is we just strip it all back, okay? Get rid of all the team cars, get rid of all this added logistics. Let's go old school. Let's make it, okay, 100 guys and girls on the start line. There's a motorbike with some water. There's one neutral spares and see at the finish line. Just fully strip the whole series back. Like, this bike race will have cost the team close to $15,000. And that doesn't include what you need to get to be there. So by that, I mean getting a car, getting a roof rack, you know, eskies, bottles, spare wheels, all the things that go before you even get to the start line to start spending money. Option 2 is we go full drive to survive. The reality, the logistics of a live broadcast of this event is not realistic, okay? It's not. I mean, you know, mobile coverage in Australia is just hopeless and we're not going to be getting helicopters in the air to do this. But what we do need is engaging content across the whole series. It's why I started this vlog in the first place, is to try and engage some content or create some content around the series of the characters involved in it. But we needed that. We needed it at like a times 1,000 level. Because the only way that this series becomes sustainable is that people care about it. And the only way people care about it is you create an interesting story. So they're my two solutions for how we have a sustainable bike racing series in Australia, because I just can't come back to it. And I was sitting there just watching these guys bash each other down. It was just the best race to watch. Like, I had a great spot to watch this race, a great spot. It was amazing to watch. I wish you could have seen that. And that's what's frustrating me, is that no one saw it. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like these videos, and I'll see you real soon. Breathe, man. Just breathe.
I think most of it's over now.